With us now is our fashion and beauty correspondent, Evan Hirsch. Welcome, Evan. How are you?
I'm great when I'm here, so I'm good.
Recently, we've been doing a couple of remotes together. We were at Oheka Castle, and what was your experience like for the Share Luncheon?
Oh, that was great. To hear so many inspiring, empowering women and their stories, I was blown away. I've taken so many life lessons from those women that will last me my entire lifetime. That was just like an indispensable experience. I was really glad to attend.
And you were doing a couple of the interviews, which was exciting.
I love that you threw me in. Whenever there was anything fashion involved, you just handed it right over, so I loved it.
Building with Dan?
The Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy Navy SEAL Museum in West Sayville. We broke ground 2.5 years ago. We've just about finishing the interior construction, and the exhibits are starting to go in as we speak, and we're finishing up the outside. There's a beautiful memorial walk with some exhibits outside, and we're planning on a soft opening in March of 2022 with a grand opening in June of 2022.
And Dan, am I already on the invite for the red carpet, the ribbon cutting?
Especially for that, because I've spoken with the Navy. They're going to be bringing Michael's SEAL team out from Hawaii, also representatives from the ship, the USS Michael Murphy, and we're going to get the leapfrogs to jump in the 10 Navy parachutes who will basically parachute out of a C-130 and land in the driving range. So the driving range will be closed that day.
Now, did you both grow up on Long Island? Are you from Long Island? Where are you from?
I'm from Long Island.
I grew up in Westbury.
Tony was married in this building.
Yeah, I had my wedding reception here 35 years ago.
Wow. Well, you know, a lot has changed, but the one thing that hasn't changed is your caring, warm, beautiful heart in memory of your son. Can you tell us a little bit about Michael, please?
Oh, sure. Well, of course, we're here today at Oheka Castle for Big Daddy's celebrity golf outing. Funds are going to the Michael Murphy Museum and for the Athletes to Vets organization, two public charities. Michael was a natural-born leader from when he was very young. I saw it growing up, how I'd like to say that Michael always seemed to do the right thing at the right time for the right reasons, and all his friends knew that. And so I'd watch him, and his friends would come up to him and go, "Mike, what are we doing today?" And he'd say, "Oh, let's do this, or let's do that." So his leadership skills came on early on, even when he was playing baseball. It was never about Michael, it's always about the team, and he made that very apparent. So basically the crossover into the SEAL teams fit in with him perfect, because it's all about the SEAL teams and never about the individual. The museum, I'm really happy that the funds are coming through. Tony's doing a great job. We've had, what I like about it is, and Tony can tell you more about that, but everything about the museum that's being built is really local companies donating their time, labor, money. So I know Michael would really like that. It's like Long Island is coming together to build this museum. We're basically putting up a $6 million building for like $2 million with all the donations coming in. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Jimmy Stewart, It's a Wonderful Life. Everybody's chipping in, right? It's like, I love that.
Of course, this is the Medal of Honor that was given to the family by President Bush posthumously in 2007. There's only 3,500 of them, 13 from the War on Terror, so not a lot. This is Michael's original trident from his uniform. We wanted to make sure that we had it, since that's kind of our connection to Michael.
Greg Carroll, Chief of Operations. Gas it up.
Chris Carroll, VP in Productions. Gas it up.
Tony Fleming, gas it up.
And the real Big Daddy.
David Grigsby, Chief Executive Officer.
I'm going to call you Alexander. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. With us now is Alexander Vargas. How are you today?
I'm doing good here at this golf classic and ready to have some fun.
Yeah, what could be better? We got introduced by your friend Nick. How's it to know Nick?
It's great. Nick has done a lot for me with his Greater Long Island site. He's always writing about my fights, and he's helped grow my name so much. So he's a great person. I'm happy I met him and look forward to working with him more in the future.
What got you into the sport?
I just started watching fights with my dad when I was a little kid in the basement watching Mike Tyson, who's my favorite fighter of all time. And once I saw Mike Tyson, I said I want to box. Started sparring with my dad when we were a little kid, and he took me to the gym.
When I first did the first outing with Big Daddy, I interviewed Mike Tyson in this very same castle. And now to have you say that, that's really cool. So now you guys have something really cool in common. I heard that you're doing, you're on a winning streak of some sort. Tell me about that.
Yeah, right now I'm on 11-0, 4 knockouts. Just won my last fight on Saturday. And looking forward to the next one. Hopefully be back in November and hopefully get a world title shot soon and just take it to the top of, hopefully.
When you're not celebrating boxing, how do you like to live it up?
Just be a normal human being, just kind of eat whatever I want, have a couple drinks here and there. You know, getting punched in the face all the time isn't the most fun, so being able to just be normal, spend time with my family and my friends is nice to do.
You're styling today, right?
I just doing something loose and comfortable. I mean, usually if it was sunny, I'd have wore some colors, but I'm dressed down a little today.
And how have you been celebrating life recently? What are some big highlights for you?
Well, a big highlight for me that I spoke to Big Daddy about is I did my first tournament June 22nd. I'm a retired New York City firefighter, so I've seen a lot, and I thought it would be a good idea to raise money for the fire department. That gave me a beautiful career. So, you know, I stepped into the world of raising money and funds, and it was beautiful and rewarding, but extremely challenging. It took me about 2 or 3 months to unwind after all the emails and contacts and thanking all of the sponsors. So that's one of the new things that is going on in my life right now. And I love going around and supporting other events also, not only to get ideas, but then I also know how important it is, how it felt for me to reach out to people and have them support my event. So when people call me, I'm going.
It's a community of like-minded hearts, is how I've always found. You know, and people can give in different ways. They can give of their time, their talent, or their treasure, right? And so sometimes people might not have a lot of money to donate, but if they could just volunteer. Did you find that in your process too?
Yeah, absolutely. I had people. I mean, I had a wide array of people who, firstly, when I did my first one, there was a price point I was trying to meet. So, of course, I wasn't attracting the huge and big sponsors. So I attracted a lot of firefighters, a lot of locals, and then the celebrities that came out. I mean, we had John Starks who came out and played in the rain 18 holes, which was mind-blowing and heartwarming because he could have just wrote a check and something like that. But having certain people show up makes a big difference. But if you can't show up, paying it all comes together and helps.
Very exciting. Lifetime Achievement Award for breaking barriers for women in the entertainment industry. Yeah, at the Cannes Film Festival, I'm just throwing that in. Very exciting. I was thrilled about that. And 2 years ago, I won many awards, but that one meant a tremendous amount. And one at the UN 2 years ago, I won the Global Empowerment Award, and that was a combination of what I do to help save little kids. Not personally, but I back many organizations that literally save 3-year-olds to 6-year-olds. Can you imagine how bad it's gotten? A lot of people are not realizing how serious that is. So.
You were in Cairo, and then you could have been part of the human trafficking, and you just decided sexual human trafficking.
Yeah, I probably
and you said,
would. I wouldn't be here today. Just from, it's too involved of a story, but the man I lived with saved my life. Wow. There was a price put on me by a very wealthy prince. I believe he was from Saudi. We're talking many years ago, and he came back one night. I was living with this man, and in lust, not in love, in lust, and literally for the first time in my life gave up my independence. You could tell I'm a very, very independent woman. I was dancing on a stage with Sammy Davis Jr. when I was 14 years old. Not as a stripper, guys, as a professional dancer. So I've, you know what I'm saying? I mean, for me to give up my independence like that, when I say independence, because you really, in those years, and I don't know now in Egypt, you literally had to follow the rules of what the men said.
and I know you're going to have a room full of people just glued listening to what you have to share. And we're trying to raise money just to make a difference in the world. And as I shared before, we can share our time, our talent, or our treasure. Here's certainly a woman that does all of that. Stay tuned for more. We've been living it up right here. Because with me now is my dear friend, Angelica. How are you today?
I'm nervous, excited, elated. I mean, we did this.
I know.
It's our first inaugural luncheon.
I'm thrilled for you. I know. I am so thrilled for you and for all that you've done. You know, this is phenomenal. You have always been a champion for others ever since you were a little girl, because we've had a chance to become friends over the years. Tell us your why. Why is it so important to you to give?
You know, such a simple question, yet so difficult to answer. This is why. You know, for every individual that ever came to me and said to me, thank you for doing this, this is why. We're here to celebrate not only one another, but to discuss how grateful we are for this opportunity to have amazing key speakers just kind of sharing bits and pieces of themselves.
And it's amazing, women out there, how much you can stretch yourselves. Unbelievable.
You love me like no one else. You just want me for yourself. I can count on you when I need your help. But another guy to kiss and tell. That's what makes you. That's what makes you. That's what makes you. That's what makes you.
My foundation was started in 2013. We are advocates for women or just victims of domestic violence and abuse. I started this foundation because I myself was a victim. I'm now a survivor. Even from the island of Trinidad and Tobago, I witnessed abuse. But because of the culture, I really never thought it was abuse. It was just it was like just common among everyone. You can slap your girlfriend, you can beat them, and they get angry, they cry, and that's it. But when I came to America, I realized that I witnessed abuse and I went through abuse. So that was my motivation behind starting this foundation.
When you go through something challenging in life, what advice can you give to somebody that might be suffering right now? What advice could you give them to maybe stand up, get out, something that would be helpful?
It is very necessary it's crucial that we love ourselves. We cannot love someone who's hurting us and who's not even loving himself or herself. Our healing comes from our strength to move on. Comes from the moment we say we love ourselves and we value and give some worth to us. And until then, we will stay in abuse.
am friends with Angelica. I actually met her at an event in the city, and we immediately hit it off. And then she told me all about the organization and about women empowerment and all the different, and how they were part of the United Nations the other year. And there's like the list of things that she has done with this organization, and the why, about the empowerment, about women meeting women, women inspiring women, and of course, I'm all for that. So when she immediately asked me if I wanted to be a part of the event and perform for the luncheon, I said absolutely yes.
And I'm excited because you're going to be a guest in October. You're going to come to the studio. And Rebecca came with her beautiful violin. What is the name? Did you name your violin?
No, it doesn't have a name. My violin is nameless.
You know what? Charlie Daniels, when he was on the show, he told me the same thing. I said, and he's like, no, it's fiddle 1, fiddle 2, and fiddle 3. But what's so great about today is you just never know who you're going to meet. Now, you are practicing, rehearsing for
Carolina Change. Yes. Da-da-da-da. We open October 7th. Actually, the first preview, this is October 7th. It kind of feels like an open because it's going to be the first time we perform in front of an audience. When the pandemic hit, it hit a Broadway shutdown on the night of our final dress rehearsal, so we never got a chance to perform this amazing musical for a live audience. So we're excited for next month.
And as a performer yourself, Rebecca, are you excited about being able to perform in public again?
Absolutely. I'm very, very excited right now about having the opportunity to play for people in a live setting. It's been a wonderful, heartwarming experience every time I been getting to do that. And I'm also working on live stream concerts now because I see that there's also a need for this, and it's an opportunity now for us to really reach a much greater audience all the time, as well as having the opportunity to have in-person concerts, which it's so amazing and the best feeling in the world.
And at what age did you know that you had this talent, this gift? I'll ask you both the same question.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I knew that there was like a talent. What I saw at a very, very early age, I was doing the Suzuki program, and what I noticed is that I was zooming through the Suzuki books and leaving everyone in the dust. And I have perfect pitch, and I just loved it, and I took to it naturally. And because I was in a musical home as well, it was just like part of what I did every day. So it just showed up very naturally that this was the gift that I had.
Always would be the answer for you.
Always. It was just present, just like I see it with my daughter, and now she's 6 and she's writing her own songs, and she's been sitting at the piano and composing and accompanying herself at 6, and I don't get in the way.
When I was a little girl at age 3, I had a lot of energy, so much energy I was bouncing off the walls, and so my parents put me in music and art and everything but singing, which was really funny. So
can you sing?
So at age 10, I got the part of Patty in my 5th grade class play, and I sang Poor Sweet Baby to Charlie Brown and got a standing ovation at age 10. So at age 10, imagine, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And this is the moment. This is the moment, right? And so by then I was like, wow, if I can make this many people that happy, well then this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so that's what I do. And I have a 6-year-old too. Yeah. We both have 6-year-old daughters. And she comes to my dress rehearsals. You can't get her off stage. She sings, she dances, she plays the piano, it's just crazy. So it's almost like, it's not that I want her to go into the business, but
business may want
her. So we'll see what happens.
We gotta get them together.
She wants to be an astronaut, a Broadway star, and a veterinarian. So we'll see.
And lucky for us that we can choose to be anything we want to be. Absolutely. All things are possible, and that's what today is about. We are having such a great time raising money for good causes. Stay tuned. We hope you've enjoyed this, but there's still more.
With us on the show once again is Marvin Washington. How have you been since we last got to visit?
I'm good. Where's the food? Every time I visit your show and go out to the studio, the green room has some really good food. I think we had the Peruvian ceviche the last time, which was excellent. But
and barbecue, and right?
Everything.
When you come to see me, I like to feed you well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But this is quite the setup you have here now, man. This is a beautiful castle, and this room is awesome, man. So very nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So we're here at the Big Daddy Golf Classic. How did you meet Big Daddy? How did you guys become friends?
I've been knowing Big Daddy for 31 years.
My goodness.
He was still in college.
You don't look older than 31.
I feel it. But he was friends with some people with the Jets in the equipment room, and he knew everybody in Long Island.
Yes, he does.
And so even as a young guy, and so that was like my second or third year up there, and we just started hanging out since then. And since then, you know, he stayed at my house. I've stayed at his house, gone to his wedding. We've seen each other through marriages, divorces, separation, everything. And yeah, he's a good guy, man. And so that's the whole thing. If I'm going to know somebody and consider them a friend for 30-something years, they have to be a good guy. And I think I haven't met anybody that's said a negative thing about Rich Salgado. He's a really good friend of mine, and I'm happy to come out here and support him with whatever he does.
My grandmother used to have a funny saying about her grandchildren. She'd say, there's not a wicked bone in their sacred bodies, which to my grandmother meant that we were all just perfect little angels.
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
perfect little angels. So today, you know, we can almost hear like it is kind of raining outside, right? There's a little bit of whooshy whoosh going on, but it's still a great day. So you're here, but after football, you've also had other careers now. Right? What are you doing now?
Yeah, what I'm doing now is I'm in the cannabis industry, particularly with CBD, the cannabinoid of the cannabis plant that doesn't get you high, doesn't get you stoned, has no psychoactive effects, but has a lot of medicinal benefits. And so I have my own brand, that dedicated brand for athletes that athletes can use for performance, pre-performance, and afterwards, and rest. And we're in 478 vitamin shops. We're in Publix down in Florida, and we're just expanding our reach and growing the business and telling people about the wonderful medicinal benefits of this plant and CBD.
When we first talked about it, you were just getting ready to launch it. So congratulations on all that growth of your company. What do you feel is your secret to success with your brand?
Hard work.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no shortcut. You know that. You work hard, you know, and there's no shortcuts to getting there, you know, and trying to be successful. And I have good people that I work with, and I have a good product. And so I want to get CBD in every medicine cabinet in the country instead of, you know, the opiates and benzodiazepines that we take.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's wonderful. At first, I was like a little hesitant, like when it first came on the scene.
Yep.
I was kind of like, I
you thought you were gonna get high.
Right? Yeah, because I am like kind of like a goody-good kind of girl. Like I was a cheerleader in high school. We weren't allowed to go in the smoking area. You know, I've always been that kid that like I didn't like try anything too crazy, right? Yeah. And then I was like, oh, but now I understand it, right? I lurked behind the science. I understand how it works. And once you're educated about something, then it just makes all the sense.
I think it leads to a natural conclusion. You know, you don't have to overhype this plant. Just follow the science and stick with the facts. And I think the easiest way to introduce anybody to plant-based medicine, because there's a lot out there in the world, is CBD. I think that can be the Trojan horse that can get into any community, and then we can open the belly to everything else that's out there that's coming to prominence, because I feel there's an undercurrent in this country of people going, you know, in the urban areas, they're doing the urban gardens. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody's trying to go plant-based or vegan or pescatarian, and talking about, you know, saving energy and electric cars and saving the planet and saving this planet, but we're saving ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the way we've done it for thousands of years. We're gonna get back to that. We kind of get off track, you know, with the NATO moms and addiction and what have you. But we're going to get back to natural things, and I'm happy to be part of it with CBD.
And you have a birthday coming up, so you want to live to be at least 100, I'm thinking, right? I do.
My grandfather lives to 101. My mom is 87. Still
Well, I didn't mean to cut that 1 year off of you then, right? So, I mean, if Grandpa made it to 101,
You know, so if I'm 101, still feeling pretty good, don't cut me short. You know, most people say, hey, I want to live to 100, but if I'm 100 and feeling pretty good, I might want to go to 105.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going for 105. I'm going to rephrase that, Marvin.
Yeah. No, I get a birthday coming up next month.
Okay.
And my mother's birthday is the day before.
Okay.
And so she wants to go to Vegas, you know, because every birthday for her is a milestone birthday. She'll be 88. So we're going to celebrate it out there. And the big cannabis conference expo for our industry that's going to probably have over 200,000 people. It's during the same weekend.
Nice.
So it's cool. You know, I'm not going to take my mom to any dope magazine parties.
No? I don't know. She might like it.
No.
Hey, maybe the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
That's a bridge too far. That's a bridge too far.
You should at least invite her. Invite her and let her decide.
Yeah, I'm gonna invite her and let her turn me down.
Okay, there you go. Marvin, it, as always, was such a pleasure.
Always.
So much fun.
So nice
and I
to
think
see
the
you.
last time we actually got to break bread together, it was at like some cool barbecue place.
Oh, you're talking about Morgan's in
Yes.
Brooklyn. I want to give a shout out. This is the best barbecue east of Mississippi. I'm telling you. This is the best barbecue. It's Morgan's Barbecue. It's off of Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And right down the street from the arena, and it's excellent.
Yeah,
It's excellent.
it's so worth the trip, and it's so much fun. Okay, thanks for joining us. We hope that you're having fun watching this segment. I'm Donna Drake, Marvin Washington, signing off at this moment. With us now is Marco. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Donna. How are you?
Good. So I saw your Rutgers shirt and I said, hey, are you from Rutgers?
And I said, yes.
Yes, I am.
Absolutely.
My son went to Rutgers. His father went to Rutgers. We are a Rutgers family. Go Scarlet Knights.
That is great to hear.
So I was excited to meet you here today at the Big Daddy Golf Outing. You told me that you and Rich go back a little bit.
Yep.
So tell us how you guys met.
So, you know, years and years of playing high school football, college football, and then getting on the pro scene. Rich was always a fixture in New York City. He was always a fixture around NFL guys. He does a great job with a lot of the players, you know, former players, present players. And, you know, Rich is just one of those likable guys that you kind of cling to because he's always in the know. He's always in the know of the game, and he always pops up somewhere.
He does, right?
He just pops
Every
up.
restaurant.
Exactly.
Right?
But he's always at a game. He's always at an event where it's like, oh, Rich is here, so things are good.
Yeah, he's so kind-hearted. And when he decided to do the golf outing and give to charity, everybody just kind of gathers around him. He's like, hey, you know, I'm doing this thing. And then it ends up being this extravagant, crazy, over-the-top thing you just don't want to miss.
Well, a place like this, it's over the top to begin with. So he just adds the fillers after that.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those guys, like it's those brother at arms where, you know, if a brother calls, you show up. And it's been like that for years. With the community in the tri-state area, and you know, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, guys that like former NFL guys, current NFL guys, they're always going to step up and be seen, and you know, be a part of the camaraderie.
He's also good with helping people transition from the pros until back to civilian life almost.
So that's interesting because, I mean, that's a whole nother show.
Right.
Because we can talk about guys transitioning out of the NFL or college football, and you know, how hard that transition could be, because it's probably gotten to all of us at some point in some way. But as long as you have a good nucleus and a good network around you and people looking out for you, you'll always, you know, end up on a high note.
Speaking of high notes, is there a high note for you in your career, whether it was with the Bengals or, you know, playing ball? Was there some moment where you said, man, I'm glad I was on the field that moment?
I think as a former player, I think we all have had those moments. I think just, you know, fulfilling a dream, you know, because you don't just end up playing in the NFL. It's hard work. It's a dream from, when you're a small guy putting on a football helmet. And I always tell people, I would say 95% of us that played put on that helmet at Pop Warner level when we're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I think at that point we know what we want to do for a living. And if you're lucky enough and God takes you in a path where it works out and you make it, the dream is fulfilled. So the transition is tough, but that alone, that moment, that whole journey is the highlight.
Now you're working with people at Rutgers, and you see that spark in their eye.
Yep.
How does that make you feel when you're developing this experience for them?
Well, listen, as a player, it's one thing. As a fan, it's another. I've gotten to see over the course of 8 years now working at Rutgers in athletics, I see the fan side now. I understand the fan side. It's pretty crazy, but I understand it. Players, on the player side, you're just going out and doing your job. So yes, you feel the emotion of and the energy in the stadium, but you don't understand. Fans are fanatical. That's why we call them fans. And it's almost like the pride of your territory, where you grew up, where you became a fan of. So I've always enjoyed, the camaraderie of sport, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever sport, hockey. So just to see people and the energy around it, I mean, that's why I'm back in college athletics.
You're making a difference in the lives of others. You were so nice to me today when I was like, hey, and you're like, sure, I'll come on the show. And then we brought you to the lot. How grand is this? Is this the most amazing
This
place?
is a grandiose property. This is for sure. Granted, we have a pretty, tough day of weather, but when this place the sun is shining on this place, it's probably really special.
And we're giving back to wonderful organizations. When you were a young lad, who taught you how to be philanthropic? Was there somebody taught you the way of being?
I think first off, you have to have that in your soul.
Okay.
I think there's two types of people in the world: givers and takers.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, let's be
right.
Brutally honest. I think I'm from an Italian family in Queens. We're givers. Everybody's a giver.
Right. There's the shoebox in the neighborhood.
Of course.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Somebody comes home with a new baby and everybody puts a little money in the shoebox, whether it's $1 or whatever. Right?
I don't know about it anymore. But they do it. Yes.
I think that some people still do that. Or borrow a cup of sugar neighborhood.
True.
That's the kind of neighborhood I grew up in.
True.
Right? Instead of going to the grocery store, what are you doing? You're walking next door and you're like, hey, I'm making a cake and I need sugar. Like,
True.
hey, no problem, right?
That still exists. It does.
That still exists.
But the philanthropic mindset is, I think when I was a freshman in college, Ed O'Neill was my tight ends coach. He was a phenomenal guy, played at Penn State. I'm not supposed to say that school with this on my shirt.
Understood.
But
it's part of your journey.
It's part of my journey.
Yes.
But he was a wonderful mentor. He played 9 years in the league. He was a linebacker for the Detroit Lions. And he always said, give back. Somebody has given you this opportunity. You must give back. So he was trained as a young lad. And my freshman year, he just instilled that in the whole room, the whole tight end room. And as a player, I did give back to my school. As an alumni, as a staff person, I still give back to my school. And it's important, it's important to, back in the day, I don't know if they do this anymore in the NFL, but the United Way was a very big organization. And every Tuesday, the guys had off, we would go back, whether it was a community center, a hospital, whatever it was. And, same handful of guys, the philanthropic guys want to give back. So it was, I think it's in you. I think you could develop it after time. And I think certain circumstances in your life will dictate whether you want to be a part of something that could ultimately be something that either helped you in a tough time or helped you in a great time.
Time, talent, and treasure.
Time,
right?
time,
you can give your time, you can give your talent,
or your
treasure.
Well, you're
as
well
long as you're
schooled.
given.
Yeah.
I am old school. Yeah. So it is a joy to meet with you here tonight. We're going to have some great entertainment, and I know you said you wanted to change out of your golf clothes.
I think I should.
So, okay, but hey, we're here. It's Marco and Donna. It's now the Marco and Donna show. I think that we're going to start our own show.
That works.
And a shout out to Rutgers. Go Scarlet Knights.
great. How about yourself?
Fantastic. I am so excited to meet you. We met through your friend Marco, who said, hey, and I said, hey. So it is an absolute pleasure.
Nice.
So we are here at Oheka Castle to raise money to help the veterans.
Yes.
Something you know a lot about. Can you tell us about your dad's service?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for having me on today. And obviously, you know, Marco is one of the greatest men that I know, and football players. You know, yeah, my whole life was about service. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, Vietnam, 32 years, Purple Heart. My sister actually did 28, 4 deployments. So I was actually born in Germany. So my path to sports and my path to NFL was totally different than most because I never played organized football until my 10th grade year in high school. But the atmosphere in which I grew up, it taught me a lot about people. How I can walk into a room. I didn't do this when I was a young kid, but every 2 to 3 years we had to move. So I was born in Frankfurt, Germany, and then we moved to El Paso, Texas for 3 years. Back to Germany for 3 years, Fort Knox, Kentucky for 3 years. Back to Germany for 3 years, and then finally in Alabama.
Wow.
So with that, it really forced me to have to understand how to reintroduce myself and how to really just, you know, welcome people and be friendly. Yeah, so it's a good upbringing. The only sad thing about it is I have no zero childhood friends because we didn't have internet back then.
You could probably find them.
It'd be tough. 'Cause I don't even know their names.
Really?
Because you think about it when you're like nowadays you have MySpace, you have Facebook, you have all these ways to keep in contact. When you leave, you know, and your memory, when you don't see kids, especially when you're like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, you go to a new place, you meet a new set of friends, and you come back, and it's kind of hard.
Would you like me to be your friend?
We can be friends,
Okay,
definitely. I
would
like
love
that.
to be
All
your
right,
friend.
nice.
So I had the most amazing childhood in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
We'd go swinging on swings and things like that.
Yep.
It's amazing to me when I find an adult, right, that doesn't have that same sort of childhood, and so we go out swinging on swings.
Yep.
So if you want to go swing on swings,
I'm more than happy,
invitation
and
is
I'm
there.
sure there's plenty of swings out here in this beautiful mansion.
Right. And you were did you swing the clubs today?
I did not. I actually
did?
I had another event earlier today with the New York Jets. We actually went to Atlantic Health, one of our Jet sponsors, and we did a nice picnic for frontline workers. And so they got a chance to come out. We had food trucks. We had a ball toss. We had DJs, and so just kind of a way to say thank you so much because obviously we know that over the last couple of years, some of our frontline workers have had very difficult days. So just to kind of say thank you for all the work they've done. So I did not swing close today. I'm kind of glad I didn't because it was raining.
Yeah. Now you work with both the Jets and the Giants.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about your position because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so Legends Community was created, I want to say 7 years ago now. Probably should have been around 20, 30 years ago. More so just kind of understanding that, you know, as Marco was saying, like, you know, transition for athletes, transition for veterans is extremely difficult. And even when you have a plan, you can have a plan. Like I thought I had a plan. I had my undergrad, I had my master's. I was like, oh, great. All of a sudden that day when you play your last football game, you look around, you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, where's the stadium?
Yeah, and because, you know, life still goes on and your buddies, you know, maybe they're going to practice or maybe they moved away or they don't live in the area. And so it gets to be very difficult. So what we started to realize is some guys kind of resented the league. You know, if you played 5 years, you should have played 10. If you played 10, you should have played. You know, it's one of those things. And a lot of guys was like, when they got done, they were like, you know, forget the NFL. You know, they screwed me. It was this coach, it's this. And so what we wanted to do was say, listen, you know, no one really leaves unless you're Michael Strahan and you know, you win a Super Bowl, you hold a Lombardi trophy, and then you go parlay that into your very lucrative career. You know, a lot of people, we don't have those experiences. And so with that, we just want to say, listen, anything that we can do from the league standpoint to support you in your life after football. Number one, we want to celebrate your career because if you played 1 year in the National Football League, you've done something then.
Less than 1% of the entire universe. Exactly. Right?
And so we want to celebrate your career and we just want to assist you in anything you have going because we do understand the power of the shield. It carries a lot of weight and there's doors that could be open if there's something you're really passionate about or if you're still trying to figure it out, like, okay, do you need help with your resume? Do you need to get in front of some business people? All those kind of things. And so, or even your benefits and the benefits that you qualify for. And so that's what moves the needle in my life because, you know, I see some of my young men who leave benefits on the table. They're like, oh, I didn't know I had that. Well, you know, we've been sending you papers for the last 5 years. Sometimes open your mail, open your email, answer the phone, you know, just those kind of things. But it's tremendous work I think the league is doing. And there's still obviously a lot more work that we can do. Just really, because, you know, the biggest thing that a lot of guys miss outside of the paycheck. A lot of things guys miss is the camaraderie. And that's what we try to do now is with the NFL Legends community is bring that locker room feel and that camaraderie. Because sometimes I can go to events and buddies I hadn't seen, and like I got a teammate here today who I saw a picture of earlier, Ray Crockett. I haven't seen Crockett in a while, but when I see him, I'm gonna give him a big hug, and it's gonna be like we played together when I was with the Chiefs. And so you have, so that's the thing a lot of guys miss is that you kind of feel like you're isolated. But once you get back around your boys, and then it's like, oh, Marco, what are you doing? Hey, T-Rich, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, man, let's go grab coffee. Let's go break bread. And all of a sudden, there's some synergy. And once you get around your boys, then you kind of get that life again. It could be a workout, it could be a run, it could be, a cigar, whatever it is.
Life after the
life after.
pigskin,
Exactly,
right?
because there's no other place that we can walk into legally and raise your hands and get 80,000 people to stand up.
Well, when you all do get together, it would be fun to see you guys out on the field. A pickup game or something. Look at out here at Oheka Castle. I don't know, that looks big enough. There's got to be 100 yards here,
There's going to be 2 hamstrings and 2 knees that are not going to work after that, so we do not want to do that. No.
It was such a joy to get to know you. And, I told you earlier before the cameras were rolling that I belonged to a patriotic singing group called the Futures of America. But it was because of your dad's service. Because what had happened was Mr. George Fernald was watching television and somebody was burning the flag. And he said, that's not okay.
No.
That's not okay.
So
he took his softball team of 10 girls and started this patriotic singing group. And then I had joined when I was 12 and so forth and so on. But I've sang at veterans hospitals. I've been able to really understand. And there was one moment we were singing Grand Old Flag and we were at a veterans hospital. And all the nurses in the back were crying, and we all thought, oh, that was really interesting. But it was because there was a vet, and he was singing with us, and he hadn't spoken in 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you on behalf of myself and all of your fans. And also, I told you my nephew Dominic is like the biggest, Chiefs fan ever. Like crazy. He's crazy. His whole bedroom's like decorated like that.
Great. Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And you can count on me. Like if you need help in any way for all the things that you're doing, you can count on me.
Same here.
Okay.
Thank you.
My new childhood friend. There you go.
There we go.
Stay tuned for more. We've been living it up right here. With us now is Hashim. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Rich Salgado has been wanting us to meet for the longest time, and I was so excited to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Just had a wonderful day of golf, even though it was a little drizzly. I had a good positive foursome, so it turned out great.
Nice. How did you learn how to golf? Golf is not the easiest game.
No, it's not. I started very late. I went to a friend's wedding in Punta Cana, DR, and he forced me to try it. I fell in love with just the view, the grass, the water. I said, oh, this seems relaxing. So I came home, went to Van Cortlandt, and it was a different scenery. I was like, this is not the same thing. But I still was attracted to the game, and I started playing it. And then about 5 years ago, I really got serious and started taking lessons.
Okay. So miniature golf for me was the way that I started, right? There was like a putt-putt miniature golf and the big gigantic slide, and that's how I learned. But I've always wanted to actually like really learn how to swing a club. But it's not the easiest thing. You got to stand over it a certain way, got to put your hiney out a certain way.
There's so many moving pieces that you're thinking about. I saw this meme where there's a guy standing over the golf ball and it was like, tilt this right hand, and you see all these bubbles around him with like 100 different things you have to do to get the swing right.
Maybe a little harder than acting. How did you learn how to be an actor? Did you go to school?
Oh, wow.
Was it from high school? How did you be you? How did you grow up to be you?
Great question. I always wanted to be a football player.
Okay.
And in high school, that was my dreams. I kept getting injured. And as a dare, I took a dance class, fell in love with African dance and the drum. And my senior year in high school, I had a chance to go to college and play ball, but I messed up my senior year. So I had to go to summer school, or my dance company was going to France.
My.
Both of my parents were deceased, so I didn't really have guidance, so I went to France.
Wow.
And
so you lost both of your parents when you were young.
Yes.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you. So I went to France, danced, came home, was lost, joined the Marine Corps, came home, joined the dance company again, became a correction officer, was still dancing, and then I kind of transferred from dance into theater, into acting when I became a firefighter. And I was doing them both, going to night school, taking classes, really passionate about the arts, and retired and was lucky enough to get a TV show.
Blacklist.
Yes.
that's not just some TV show, a TV show. Oh, you know, in my spare time, I'm going to do this, right?
Well, I mean, at the time, I had no idea. I auditioned.
Okay.
That was supposed to be one episode, and one episode has turned into 9 years.
9 years. What brings you joy when you're working on the show?
I just love playing different characters. I love the character I play. I think my demeanor is kind of serious and trustworthy and loyal and honest, so it's not too far off from who Hisham Tawfiq is. But I just love the idea of telling stories. I think as a kid, I always had these dreams and would act like I was Spider-Man or Black Panther, and you know, I didn't lose those dreams. As we become adults, we sometimes get teased about dreams.
Yes.
But I held on to mine.
Me too.
And I enjoy living them out when I'm telling my stories.
My television show came to me in a dream. It was
Wow.
divinely gifted to me.
Good for
December
you.
28th of 2008, I woke up, I was like, what was that? Wrote down everything I could remember. And so I'm a huge proponent for dreams.
Mhm.
And I want to ask you, when something great happens for you, who do you celebrate with? Since you can't really call your
Wow.
parents and say, hey, guess what? I just got this happen to me. Who celebrates with you?
You know, that's probably one of my biggest voids. And I'll tell you, I remember I booked a TV show with Lorenz Tate, someone who I had followed my whole career, and the director, Reggie Bythewood, who's a great director, whose wife is Gina Bythewood, who did Love and Basketball and all of these other great films. And I remember I booked a film with Lorenz Tate. I was still a firefighter at the time. And I was on the top floor in the firehouse. I get a call from my manager, and she's like, you booked it, you got the film. And I didn't react. I was like, okay, thank you. And I put the phone down, and I was like, I didn't know how to celebrate. I didn't know who to call. And the first thing that came to my mind, and crazy enough because I was raised a devout Muslim and religious. My father was an imam. The first thing that came to my mind was, let me celebrate by doing drugs. Because that was, I didn't know what else to do. And then this next thing that popped in my head was Lynn Bias. And I'll never forget, I got off of work, I went to the mosque, I prayed, I cried, and got up and kept it moving. But to answer your question, I really never did have someone, even if you had a girlfriend or somebody like, there's nobody like your parents. They could say, good job.
Yeah.
Like even when I bought my first house, it was like, there was nobody to see my house. You know, so that's something that I do struggle with, and I try to internally just be grateful of the accomplishments I've had and know that they would be proud of me.
My mom passed away when I was pregnant with my first child.
Wow.
And I just so wanted her to be there for that moment. And I still talk to her. And then I had a spouse that crossed over from colon cancer, and I so wanted them to still, but I believe like you do, I believe that somehow, some way, sometimes I still call my home phone number,
Wow.
expecting my mom to answer, but I just call and I still talk to her and be like, Mom, guess what? This happened.
Wow.
You know, but it is important for all of us in our journey, right?
Mhm.
To be able to celebrate our own accomplishments in a mindful way. But it's always nice to be able to call somebody and say, hey, I booked it.
Yeah.
So from now on, if you book something, you got my number, and I'll be like, yay, way to go, way to go, way to
Thank
go.
you, thank you.
But I am happy for you. I'm
Thank you.
happy for your journey. You know, everything happens in its way and its
Absolutely.
time. Do you ever like go down to the firehouse and, you know, ever want to go fight a fire at all? Like, do you miss that sometimes? Like,
I only miss, I do miss, I grew up in Harlem. I worked 20 years in Harlem, so I miss serving the community of Harlem.
Okay.
But as you get older, like, the job beats you up. You know, it's really.
that's a lot because you have to carry,
Yeah,
right? The
you
heavy
have to
hoses.
carry that pack and the
Right.
hoses and work in extreme cold and in extreme heat. And as you get older, it just becomes a lot. And I saw my love for doing that slipping as my love for acting grew, which then
Okay.
also makes it dangerous. But I do miss, like my brother right now works in my firehouse.
He does?
Yes, so
Great.
I hear,
So
I
shout
always,
out to your brother.
yeah.
Just tell him right there.
Shout
right
out to my
here,
brother
right?
Hazem Tawfiq, who
Yeah?
works in my firehouse, the Harlem Hilton, Engine
Nice.
69, Ladder 28. So I live vicariously through him when I hear about his war stories, his fire stories. But I do miss the firefighting aspect of it. And I'll pop in the firehouse from now and then.
There you go. And I'm sure when you're in hair and makeup, you could always like just call him too and say he can live vicariously through you. Thank you so
Yes.
much. May the craft services always be good on your set.
Thank you.
May the journey be blessed. So thank you. It was really, truly
Thank you
a
for having
pleasure
me.
to spend time with you.
Thank
and
you.
now
I
I know why
appreciate it.
Big Daddy wanted us to meet. Hey,
Thank
Rich,
you.
thank you. Thank you for having us be here to celebrate you with all of your friends and all the charity work you do. We truly appreciate it. Signing off.